to plan a flight path at treetop level to an intended landing zone. At this altitude, you are less vulnerable to ground fire, and the enemy is less able to determine your intentions. It's hazardous to stay at treetop level any longer than necessary in the event of engine failure. With visibility limited, navigation is very difficult and possibly inaccurate. Always take advantage of terrain features. For example, fly just below ridge lines, crossing the ridge lines at 90-degree angles. To avoid enemy fire, keep away from traveled roads, valleys, rivers, and prominent hilltops. A variety of techniques may be used to infiltrate a team into enemy territory. Remember, the enemy may have landing zone watchers among the villagers or in the local militia. They can call for reinforcements and report your landing by radio, by gunshots, or by other means of signaling. Watchers may be stationed in trees. Confine radio transmissions to a minimum and encode them as much as possible. Whether you are making a high-level or a low-level insertion into a landing zone, the best gun coverage is with the gunships in trail position. High-level deception can be accomplished by having a similar formation fake landings in other landing zones 3 to 6 kilometers distant, but in easy view of the actual landing area. The sight of helicopters will be considered normal by the local population if routine flights are made over the LZ area before the day of insertion. At a release point, the insert helicopter descends to low level, 5 to 10 kilometers from the landing zone. A command and control helicopter familiar with the primary and alternate landing zones directs the insert pilot. The insert helicopter can go unescorted, or he may be accompanied by 2 gunships in trail, 500 meters spacing. The gunships pass just to one side of the landing zone. Their spacing allows the slick helicopter to exit the landing zone and fall in trail on the gunships, usually unnoticed by the casual observer on the ground. After exiting the landing zone, the helicopter should remain on the trees for about 5 kilometers. In easily navigated terrain, where command and control is not required, a single flight of 3 can proceed low level to make the insert, using any variety of flight paths desirable to obtain maximum deception. When using false insertion techniques, the element of risk should be kept in mind. It helps no one to fake an insert into an enemy gun position. In the area of the landing zone, known as the insert area, altitude should be 1,500 to 3,000 feet above terrain. This altitude provides the best combination of protection from enemy ground fire, enables the pilot to discern terrain features, and permits rapid descent into the landing zone. All descents should be made as rapidly as possible without going into full auto-rotation. Terrain features should be used for concealment wherever possible. Maintain 80 to 100 knots airspeed, reducing it as the landing zone is approached. Final approaches should be short, fast, and on the treetops if possible. Vertical descent into the landing zone must be slow and cautious in order to avoid trees and stumps. Takeoff should be slow and vertical until the aircraft is clear of all obstacles. Leave the area at treetop level for at least 2 kilometers. Then a maximum performance climb to altitude. Use the same precautions as before. Cross ridges at a 90-degree angle, Vary heading to avoid flying down valleys and stream beds. Build airspeed to 80 or 100 knots as soon as possible.